Hi everyone.
I'm Zoe Riblin and I'm the Director of Research and Measurement at Reach.
And I'm Monica Majumdar, Client Strategy Director here at Reach.
Really excited to welcome everybody to this webinar of our new research, Christmas with all the Trimmings.
Every year we get tons of Christmas briefs coming across our desks with the assumption that Christmas is the same up and down the UK. But we wanted to look through that a bit deeper and actually understand how Christmas is experienced up and down the UK. At Reach, we're really passionate about the fact that we really understand where people live. Now, this isn't just about location. This is actually where they live in terms of their emotions, regarding their interests and their passions, where they live in terms of their values, and of course, where they live online and offline across screens and all the media channels they consume to get to the content they absolutely love. Now, we would be remiss if we didn't look at Christmas through this lens, and so that's what we've done here today. And so we bring you Christmas with all the trimmings. So there were some really interesting themes that emerged when we looked at this and through that lens of where people live. The fact that people are not cancelling Christmas, but just looking at trimming back to be able to deliver the Christmas they love. There are interesting regional nuances when we look at North and South, East and West in terms of how people celebrate and take part in the Christmas festivities. And lastly, home is really central to Christmas. It really is where the Christmas heart is. And that's where, whether you're celebrating big or looking to switch off, that is where people are for this Christmas season.
So how did we find this out? The story actually starts all the way back just after the festivities wrapped up in 2025. And while that was all fresh in people's minds, we did a big nationally representative survey with 2,000 adults across the UK to really get under the skin of what they'd been doing during the festive season, how they were feeling, and how they were preparing and planning for the upcoming Christmas in 2026. Given the kind of political and economic things that have been happening throughout the year, we did also run a few further dips of research just to make sure we were capturing how people might be changing their plans and what they were really kind of prioritising and zoning in on this coming Christmas. So to dive into the data, as Monica suggested, one of the big themes that really came out and what was really clear when we were analysing all the data is that you can't paint everyone in the UK with the same brush. And whilst there are a lot of things that people have in common, there are also a lot of regional nuances and differences for different regions in the UK. Just to call out a few of them, we saw that in Yorkshire, they're the real Christmas market enthusiasts. They love travelling to festive events, to festive markets, and to light switch-ons. And they're also the most likely region to be actively spending with local businesses. We also saw how the Midlands are the most proactive in really starting to save early in the year so that they can make the most of their Christmas and still deliver the Christmas they want despite maybe facing some financial pressures. And we saw with the South West and Wales actually some similarities in these two regions being the most family focused and really prioritising their immediate family and their experiences and gifts above anything else. We also saw some key themes that spanned across all of this. So firstly, with timing, we saw differences between the North West and the Midlands being the most proactive in saving and shopping early in the year, whereas Scotland were a little bit more last minute, a bit more relaxed around their Christmas shopping. In terms of people's priorities and focus, we also saw that the North West and Yorkshire really appreciate the build up to Christmas, love going to those festive markets, as I mentioned, and kind of making the most of the whole season. Whereas those in the southeast were the most likely to be really focused on Christmas Day itself. Another theme was travel, and we saw people in London and the southwest being the most likely to travel around, reconnecting with family and friends in different parts of the UK or even abroad, whereas those in Scotland and the Midlands were the most likely to stay close to home. When it comes to budgeting, we also saw Wales being the most kind of financially cautious region, and really kind of prioritising in on their non-negotiables of gifts rather than experiences, whereas those in London were on the opposite side of the scale and prioritising being able to socialise, going out to eat and drink, and really experiencing all that Christmas has to offer over gifting. And finally, when it comes to people's kind of motivations and what they're really looking to get out of the season, we saw people in the Northwest being the most likely to really kind of make the most of a season, socialise, party, whereas just across the way in the Northeast, people were really focused on just relaxing, switching off, and recouping after a busy, stressful year.
So now we can look at Christmas through the lens of interests. And really what we found is whether north, south, east, west, there's certain universal components to the Christmas day. And 66% say that it is eating and drinking at home that is central to the Christmas day. Things that people are doing during that time, they are watching TV, playing board games, they are watching Christmas movies, as well as playing video games and going to the pub. Now, what's really interesting is that we know through the research that the Christmas Day meal is really, really big, but we're leaning on modern day advances in technology to be able to help make it a little less onerous. So what you can see here is that nearly 15% are turning to the supermarkets and looking to buy pre-packaged luxury food to be able to enhance their Christmas meal. And we have nearly a fifth of the UK looking to use air fryers to help them produce that lovely Christmas meal. So what makes a Christmas season? Well, we can see that when we think more broadly than just Christmas Day, there are three key components. We have the big moments, we have comfort and downtime, as well as going out at events. So when we look closely at what actually that means, for Christmas season, there's a really interesting tension between switching off and wanting to create magical experiences. We have over 37% of the UK looking to the Christmas period as a chance to switch off, to recharge, and kind of retreat into their little cocoon. Whereas you have about a third of the UK saying that Christmas is all about reconnecting with friends and family and actually experiencing all that the Christmas season has to offer. Everything from the lights that Zoe mentioned through to the Christmas markets and also the Christmas party season. Now, when it comes to switching off, really central to that is watching content at home. So it's home movies and shows that are central, whether people are watching online, on TV, or actually playing video games. Now, when it comes to experiences, it's Christmas markets and light shows that really dominated. You have about 40% of the UK that say they intend to go to Christmas markets, to Christmas events, and Christmas lights. And actually that goes up to about 70% when you look at Gen Z, who, as we know, are very keen on experiences. And actually our Reach readers are also a fan of Christmas lights and Christmas markets and Christmas experiences. Now, when it comes to reconnecting and creating experiences, we see that the UK are actually traveling to do so. They're hitting the road. So you have about 51% who are saying that they're traveling to visit family and friends. You have about a third that are staying more locally, even though they are traveling. But you have another more than a third who are traveling across the UK to be able to reconnect with friends and visit family. And actually, you have 6%, like myself, who go abroad to see family and friends. Now, when it comes to holidays and leisure, you have about a fifth of the UK that are actually traveling and seeing Christmas as an opportunity to squeeze in a bit of holiday time. So you have about 10% who are staying within the UK, but looking at it as a chance to squeeze in a bit of a holiday. You have about 8% are actually going abroad. You have another 6% who are taking a break within the UK. What is interesting is that you have about 1 in 3 who are traveling further afield to be able to see Christmas lights and go to Christmas markets. And our Reach readers are actually 3 times more likely to travel to be able to see their Christmas market and Christmas light show of choice.
The next lens we really looked at the data through was values, and what we saw is that even though I was talking about regional nuances at the start, Christmas is really universally celebrated as a big cultural event by the majority of the UK, and 85% actually say that they do celebrate Christmas regardless of whether they relate to the religious aspects of it. So around half of the UK celebrate it purely as a cultural event, around a quarter focus specifically on the religious event, and then there's 12% who see it as both a cultural and a religious event. What we also see is a real community spirit thriving still in the UK, despite some of the financial pressures that we've talked about. And 40% of UK adults say they are intending to actively support their local community this Christmas, whether that is through intentionally choosing local businesses to buy their gifts, foods, and other Christmas items from, or if it's donating to food banks and toy drives, or actually donating their time and volunteering for a local community cause. We also saw that Reach readers are even more likely to be doing this, even more connected to their communities, and the most likely to be engaging in this type of activities through the festive season.
When it comes to engagement, it's really interesting to see what channels people are turning to get their inspiration to make the most of Christmas. So what really stood out is that social media is very much used as a discovery engine. It's where they get inspiration for gifts as well as experiences. Then you have digital news and magazines, which adds a trusted layer, credible sources to give them verified information about the choices they're making. And then we can't ignore LLMs and AI, as we know that's growing, and that's really seen as a hyper-rational tool to validate their choices. So social media is where people turn to get gift inspiration and also find out about the really cool Christmas experiences that are happening. And we can see that actually this goes up to 80% for Gen Z, who very much see social as a means to find out about what's happening. When it comes to digital news and magazines, we see that 65% of the population are turning to news to essentially give them curated gift ideas as well as recipes that are tried and tested for their Christmas meals. And then when it comes to tactical AI, LLMs, essentially it's that hyper-rational tool that helps validate their choices by surfacing product reviews as well as product details to help them decide what to bring their family and friends. Now, people are being really savvy when it comes to Christmas sales in order to secure Christmas gifts for friends and family. We have about a third who are looking to Black Friday and Cyber Monday to be able to buy those Christmas gifts. But actually, there are a lot of people that are looking to the sales for a little treat for themselves potentially after Christmas, where we found a good 11 to 12% taking advantage of Boxing Day sales as well as end of year sales. And then we actually see about 10% that are turning to the summer sales that just happened in order to buy those Christmas gifts.
And finally, I've mentioned it a couple of times, unfortunately, we can't ignore cost of living crises that have been happening and that are impacting people and impacting their Christmas planning. So that was something that we wanted to investigate further. The first thing that we found is that in 2025, despite financial pressures that were going on even then, people spent quite healthily on Christmas, and actually the average spend that people did on lots of different categories, particularly travel and gifting amongst those who spent, was very healthy and over the £400 mark. The big stat that came out though is that over half of the UK, 54% of adults said that they were actively changing how they were going to approach Christmas this year based on the experiences that they had last year. How they're doing that is unfortunately dealing with the Grinch of the cost of living crisis, and a third of them did say that it is impacting their planning and their budgeting for the Christmas season. However, only 10% said that it was actually going to significantly reduce their Christmas budget. Instead, people are looking at ways to be a bit smarter and to trim around the edges so that they can still have the Christmas experiences that they want for themselves and their loved ones. So what are they doing? Well, the two main things are they're being much more proactive in shopping earlier to spread the costs and to take advantage of sales, but also saving earlier and starting that Christmas money pot. As early as the start of this year, we saw that 19% of people who were intending to save had already started doing so when we did our first run of research in January this year. And by the summer, 40% were expecting to have already started their Christmas savings. We also see people really using tactical money tools to help them manage their Christmas budget and still get the Christmas that they want. The most commonly used were loyalty points, but people also turn to gift cards, credit cards, buy now, pay later services, and savings clubs.
As you can see from the research we did when we started talking to people back in January, we could see 3 key themes emerge. So first is that people aren't cancelling Christmas, they're simply trimming around the edges to see how they can save what's core to Christmas for them. Secondly, we can see interesting regional nuances. Christmas is not the same up and down the country, and for some, they're prioritizing experiences. For others, they're prioritizing switching off and recharging during the season. And lastly, we can see that home is really central to Christmas celebrations, and it's core to the season. Home really is where the Christmas heart is. As you start shaping your Christmas briefs, Reach is here to help. We reach over 40 million a month online and in print. So whether you have a national or local brief, please do come and talk to your relevant rep. As you look ahead to Christmas and the activities that you're planning, these are some ways that we can help you build your brand campaigns and your Christmas campaigns. First is through editorial collaborations. We can work with our journalists, our editors, and our titles to co-create content leveraging their editorial voice. We have a whole slate of podcasts that you can consider partnering with your brands, whether it's for fashion with OK Loves or gaming with our All Out Gaming channel. With our studio, we can create branded content that really brings your Christmas and brand stories to life. We can further leverage our editorial voices with affiliates, with content articles, guides, and reviews that really help people navigate Christmas shopping and drive directly through to purchase. And with our vast digital capabilities, we're able to do precision contextual targeting, making sure that we can find your audiences and deliver the right message at the right time across our vast digital ecosystem. So please do talk to your relevant Reach team when you're thinking about your Christmas briefs.
We just polar opposites.
I would love to come round for a party.
We could have a Welsh party.
We all warmed up? Yeah! Yeah! Let's go!
You're remembering how you felt when you played those games.
That's the game we all fell in love with.
So I've got some big games of football in the Premier League.
We mean business.
Lost it. Proper lost it.
That would mean everything.
We're ready to dive into all things rugby league.
Oh, you got me. Let's be real. Ooh.
How does it make you feel when you realise that it's AI?
The cows have been here for hundreds of years.
This is going to have a real world impact.
Big up yourself, young man.
Spoiler, it's actually way harder than it looks.
Rosalia at the Brits, unreal.
Have fun with layering up.
I definitely would.
I joined the Liberal Democrats because I wanted the free beer mat.
We had it there first.
Welcome to the Bride of Britain!
We're like a family, big family.
Congratulations, squad!
It's become more than a football club now.
It means everything.
Class dismissed.